Good morning. This is Malik, your financial emancipator. And if you are new to listening to or watching my videos, thank you for joining me. And I just wanted to remind you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's a subscribe button right on top. And also, if you haven't already done so, just head on over to Instagram and follow me at Financial Emancipation. You can follow me and you get updates about the podcast when it posts and just different things I'm doing. So follow me there, subscribe on the YouTube channel. And if you're on IGTV watching, thanks for joining me. So today I wanted to take the opportunity. So when I do these videos and when I talk about topics, I like to let the initial part of the topic kind of go by. I like to say, instead of just jumping on a topic as soon as it comes out and having an opinion and really trying to just be the first one to talk about something, I prefer to say, you know what, let me think about it. Let me get all the information. Let me see how the topic is kind of being played out, where the financial aspect comes to it, and really be thoughtful about before I just start jumping on to talk, because you don't want to just jump on and join the conversation when you don't have anything of importance to add to it. So I wanted to say about a specific topic that kind of occurred last week, which was Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. I bet you didn't see that coming. Nicki Minaj and Cardi B got into a altercation. That's as much as I'll call it. It wasn't a fight. They got into an altercation at a Fashion Week event at Harper's Bazaar party. This happened not this previous Friday, but the Friday before that. They got into an altercation. There's so many rumors about why it started and who started it and what happened. All we know is that there were video of them arguing, and Cardi was very upset, and eventually she ended up with a knot on her head. A speed knot that we all can know, if you've ever had an altercation, can come from someone kind of elbowing you or hitting you, not in a necessarily a one-on-one fight. And it was clear from the video that didn't happen. But there were words exchanged, very loud words. And so in the aftermath of it, a lot of people, jumped to the fact that these two black women should not have been at this event with these people acting like this. And particularly Nicki Minaj herself was like, oh, we were in front of the upper echelon, which I don't know what that is supposed to mean, because they would be part of the upper echelon. Okay. That they were with the upper echelon of people and they shouldn't be acting like this. She was mortified. And so her reason for being mortified, it sounded like, and what a lot of people you saw on Twitter and places who were giving social commentary about this were more horrified in the sense that this occurred in front of these people. In a lot of instances, when people of color particularly say these people, they're talking about in front of white people. And the fact that they're saying it happened in front of white people, and in this instance they're saying, oh, this happened in front of rich white people, that's why this was mortifying. That's why this was embarrassing. And so this puts the context around money that we always talk about. It makes it seem as though money, access to money, and when you gain money, when you earn money, when you become in a different tax bracket, that all of a sudden who you are fundamentally changes. Your behavior is supposed to fundamentally change because there's something associated with money that says better. The more money you have, the better you're supposed to behave, right? And so these two people, one, are being spoken about as if they don't belong in this group, and that has a lot to do with a racial undertone that they are then putting on themselves, and that other people are putting on them to say, you were around these people, you shouldn't behave this way, as if they are not one of those people. They are people themselves who have reached financial statuses. Both of them have money. It's not yes, Nicki Minaj has more money, but Cardi B is now a person who has access to money. So, and there were plenty of people in that room who don't have nearly as much money as Cardi, or haven't earned it on their own. Many people have gotten it from family and things like that. So this idea that money is supposed to change your behavior, and therefore when you're, or the proximity to money, whether you have it or not, the proximity to money is supposed to change your fundamental behavior, and you're supposed to make sure that when you're around money, or when you're in the proximity of money, or when you have money, that you're supposed to behave contrary to who you are and your natural instincts. I mean, again, we did not just meet Cardi B. This is who she's been. This is her brand. Everything she did was very on brand. But I found even the wokest of people who were giving social commentary were really driving home this point that Cardi was acting like someone who didn't belong there because she got upset. She expressed her upset with the person, she directed her upset directly at that person, and it escalated into an altercation. It whitewashes, and I don't use that word by accident, but it whitewashes an entire space of place with people to make it seem like people who have money don't behave this way. Not true. Particularly people who have Fashion Week. People who are at Fashion Week. That's definitely not true, because we've heard stories. Again, social media and all these things make things a lot more accessible, but we've heard the stories. Naomi Campbell slaps people like all the time. Like, people have confrontations, people get into conflicts, and how they choose to solve them doesn't always have to do with their proximity to money. And it's the idea, and again, things like this perpetuate the idea to regular folks who are not rich, who do not have access to money the way these two women do. It perpetuates an idea that there's this classism that we're doing. When you don't have money, it's okay to act like these women were acting. So that behavior was okay. If this was Belcalis and Onika on the street somewhere, that would be okay, right? Because they don't have money. But as soon as you have access to money, you're supposed to change and switch your behavior in a way that, again, speaks poorly of people who don't have money. If this behavior is unacceptable, it should be unacceptable regardless of proximity to money, proximity to white people, proximity to fashion, proximity to a dress. It doesn't matter if you're dressed up, dressed down. If this behavior is unacceptable, it has to be unacceptable across the board. And if we're going to then say that it's unacceptable because of the proximity to money, we are then perpetuating this idea that money or having money is supposed to change something about you that would make you so that you do not behave that way. There are people in life who would never behave the way that Cardi and Nicki behaved at that event. There's people who would never do that, whether they were the brokest of the broke or the richest of the rich. They just would never handle conflict that way. There are people like Belcalis and Onika who would handle conflict that way, because that's how they handle conflict. And so the proximity to money or having money or being someone who's at a special event doesn't always change things. Now listen, the way you act at work is a lot different than the way you act at home, particularly your language, the things that you say. When a coworker gets on your nerves, you don't just turn around and curse them out, I hope. The way you may, if someone does it in your personal life, because we all understand that in certain situations and circumstances, things are not acceptable. We learn that. That doesn't have anything to do with the fact that there are people with money at your job or there are white people at your job. You know that certain behavior is not acceptable. There are people who don't act the same way in church. There are people who won't act the same way at a funeral that they will act at another thing. There are people who take and decide places and spaces for which certain behavior is just unacceptable. And that's okay. That doesn't have anything to do with money. And I like to talk about this because we contextualize money in a way that makes it sound as though money directs your behavior in a way that will alter your mind and your natural instincts without it being like directed that way, without you being groomed that way, without that being a thing that you learn. You learn as a child or a young person that when you're in church, you don't pop your gum, you don't talk like this, you learn that behavior because someone teaches you. That doesn't have anything to do with money. It comes to do with respect for institutions, places, and spaces. So we learn that. We learn social norms. Social norms tell us don't fight at work, don't argue with people, don't curse out your boss. Like, these are social norms that don't have anything to do with money. And so I would like to take the conversation of the money or the proximity to money out of the discussion about the behavior that was exhibited with Cardi B and Nicki, because the conversation should just strictly be about what is acceptable behavior and what's not. And when we just boil it down to that, then you get true opinions about what happened. But this idea that we take money and we make it as if money makes, breaks, or changes people's fundamental ways in which they process information and do, it's a very dangerous thing, because that means when you have it, you're supposed to act one way, and when you don't have it, and that there's no continuous thread. And that's dangerous, because people do ascend and descend when it comes to money. So when is the behavior acceptable or not? So thank you for listening to me today. Again, head on over to Facebook and follow me at Financial Emancipation. Follow me on Instagram at Financial Emancipation. Join the conversation. Make sure you subscribe up at the top. Subscribe to the channel so you can get updates on most recent videos. And if you're watching this on IGTV, thank you for joining me.